This has been the best fertilizer on the planet for the past 400 million years. So when nature dumps this free, versatile resource on your doorstep, I suggest you take advantage of it. And I want to show you how, because there are so many different ways to use these leaves to make your garden a better place. Let's get the boring one out of the way. How about composting these leaves? Now, composting the leaves is going to take some green materials. You look behind me, you don't see any leaves here. That's because I mowed them up and I raked them up. And what I got here is some grass clippings mixed with leaves, which is a good compost material. And I saved myself some time. Now I don't got to sit there and layer them. It's already mixed up for me. Then all that's left to do is stack it up in these rings here and wet it down with the hose, and in 18 days we get something that looks like this. Another way to compost leaves is utilizing livestock to do so. And see here, the whole base of the chicken run is covered with leaves. That's because these chickens are going to scratch through here and break these leaves down, add some nitrogen to it, and make some really good compost in the chicken composting system. Now I know I said that the compost was the most boring part of this video, but in my opinion, making compost is one of the best things you can do for your garden. But we're talking about leaves, and there are other things we can do with leaves. So what about mulch? What if you're one of the psychopaths that's against using free wood chips from the chip drop service? The answer to that problem is leaves. Get yourself a nice vessel, fill it up with some solid dry leaves. Then go ahead and get yourself a nice weed whacker. We're gonna go ahead and fire this up. We're gonna stick it in there. We're gonna chop these leaves up. Make sure when you're doing this, you put on safety glasses, because this will spring out and hit you in the eye, and that's not fun. And look at that. I still haven't mulched my garlic yet, and we want to mulch the garlic to protect it from the freezing temperatures over the winter. So one of my favorite things to do is take leaves like this, and you just take them and sprinkle them on the surface. Now this is a fantastic mulch, because besides just being a mulch, this is a great fertilizer. This is going to break down all winter long. Probably won't be here by the time summer rolls around. Worms are going to take all this, turn it into castings, and feed this bed. And if you're planting spaces, leaves are a great way to protect your soil over the winter and make it better for the next year. How about weed suppression? We got weeds in here. So maybe you're not a huge fan of cardboard because all these fake scientific wannabe groups are telling you that cardboard's bad for your garden, even though I've been doing it for years and everything grows fantastic. And some might tell you just to use wood chips, but the problem with wood chips, no matter how thick you go, they still are a pretty porous material. How about using leaves instead? Check this out. We got some leaves that just kind of naturally fell here. What's going to happen is it's going to rain, it's going to snow. And one thing we know about leaves is when they get wet, they mat together and form a solid layer. That solid, smelly, anaerobic layer is going to prevent some weeds coming through. Not everything. There's some weeds you really can't do much about, but when it comes to just annual weeds, this is going to stop them. But if you put all these leaves down, is it going to tie up the nitrogen in your soil? No. And I'm really fed up with the nitrogen argument. Same with the wood chips. Everyone says wood chips are going to tie up nitrogen. Wood chips and leaves are not trying to gather nitrogen. Fungi break those down. If you notice, when you make compost, you still have some woody materials left. That's because you have to let it sit, let the fungi move in once it cools down, and they take care of the rest. And while all that's going on, it's all worm food. We really take the worms for granted. That's why we don't till here. We don't want to chop up the worms. Worms are an important part of the ecosystem. And the funny thing is, worms are not even native to Michigan. And now we're getting down to what I think is the most exciting part of this video, the way I'm going to try to use leaves this year. So the YouTube algorithms, or Google, Facebook, all of those are somewhat creepy yet effective at times. You ever notice how you're talking about something, or even more creepy, thinking about something, and stuff will pop up on your phone? Well, that happened to me at YouTube. So it must have heard that I was raking leaves, so it suggested some videos about this guy. I don't know the name of the channel. I'm gonna link that in the description once I find it. But what he's done for the past several years is just coat his garden with 12 to 14 inches of leaves and just let it rot in place on its own and add more each year. And throughout the years, he shows you how good his soil gets. He shows you the natural soil, and he digs down and he'll show you a layered view of the soil with the new soil created by the leaves. But in this most recent video, he did something cool. He actually got a soil test, which is something I have no intention of doing here. But if you needed data to back up that leaves work, he got it. So his test did not show nitrogen, but it did show the phosphorus and potassium levels, and his phosphorus and potassium levels were double and almost triple of what you're supposed to have in your garden. And that's a good thing, because you have more than the plants can use. His garden is practically weed-free, and he shows his weeding method where the plants just pop out because they're growing in leaves and not soil. So it's really comparable to the Back to Eden method, where you use wood chips to coat the soil, except for he's using leaves instead. So this area of my garden, I have not been able to plant here for the past year and a half because of quackgrass and other various weeds that keep popping up in here. I'm gonna go ahead, use that same method in this area, where I just coat the ground in thick layers of leaves, trying to smother some of this out, just build up some good soil. We'll let these brassicas grow here. Still got the old PBR out here to catch some slugs. But all these radishes, the cover crop of radishes I planted in all these beds here, we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna bury those in thick layers of leaves. We're gonna let the rain, the snow, mat them down, come back in the springtime, throw some compost on there, and hopefully we'll be able to plant in there. Very exciting stuff. Now, besides being a free resource, leaves are one of those things that people will spend time to put them in nice paper bags that are biodegradable and leave them right next to the street for yard waste to come and take them to a compost facility, landfill. I don't really know what happens to them because we don't have that here. But when that stuff's laying on the curb, you can drive by and grab all those free leaves to use in your garden. And if you got trees that dump leaves next to your garden and don't clean out those leaves, look at all these strawberries just enjoying all these leaves that are falling in there as free fertilizer, and all these raspberries trying to take over my garden. I'm gonna have to chop those out. Even the frogs are enjoying the leaves in here as they hide underneath them and move about. If it's worked for 400 million years, it can't be wrong. Thanks for watching.